Okay, welcome back to this interview section that I have going on YouTube. And what we have going on today is I have Rob from the WolfPack Airsoft team. He's the squad CO. Welcome, Rob. I'm glad to have you on here.
Great to see you, my friend.
We've got a series of questions just like the ones I asked in the previous interview, and this is going to be sort of the template that I use for every one of the interviews that I give different people. There's one thing I don't have on the questions that I'm going to do cold on you. Just give me a little blurb about your team before we start, okay?
Sure.
Your name of your team is the WolfPack?
You got it. So, the Nepa WolfPack. So our team is more of a casual team. We do a few big ops every year as more serious Milsim games, but mostly open plays at a lot of the fields, in the area per se. Currently have between 15 to 20 active players, which is pretty steady at any given time. And then, obviously some that are more part-time. But that's about it.
That should be good. We're going to start off with the questions right away. And the first question that I'm going to ask everybody is, how did you get started in Airsoft?
So that's something I love talking about. So my friend Justin, who I worked with at the time, he actually got me started in Airsoft. We both shared a love of firearms and video games.
Mm-hmm.
And, Airsoft kind of branches it too. Constant respawning, having replicas that can look very close to an actual firearm or very far apart, as we both know.
Yeah.
But those two things put together really interest me in it. So he told me about this place called Plains Airsoft Arena. So we went down there. It was January 2015. We went down there. And as soon as I walked in those doors, I fell in love with the place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And that's actually where I met you.
Yep.
And I'm glad I wanted to mention that because you, Keeper, have been instrumental into my team staying together and multiple other teams in the area. I don't know anyone who passed through the doors of Plains Airsoft who didn't meet you and ask your advice on something, or in my case, 100 different things. Yeah, seriously, you turned me on to places like Brill Armory, Tiger Tactical, which gone now, but still. Some of the places that you can find parts, that are very obscure, or places like E-Bike and Carry. So Plains was, just such a great place. It's where my team got started.
Mm-hmm.
And I met friends that are now friends for life. It's been, almost 7 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with most of these people that we met back then at that arena, including you. And,
it was a good place, I'll tell you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So now we're going to start talking about your primary, your load up and out. What is your primary replica that you use? Or you could give examples of all of them that you have, and your loadout and gear. Just go nuts. Go, tell me anything you want to do, bud.
Hey, not a problem at all. So, for the loadout, again, you'll see Cryptek Mandrake, or knockoffs, that is. Obviously, we're not paying for the real thing.
Yep.
Is the primary team camo. We have others, but that's the primary. Again, usually mixing that with a fast helmet, okay? With your face probe, hooking right into the helmet, again, which is always just a plus, being able to just have it close by to take off or put on very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely helps. Gloves, because you definitely don't want to get those scrapes on the hands, especially as we all know from fields like CNC where there's rocks sticking up everywhere, You definitely want to have some protection. And for the primary, the M27, made by Umarex Elite Force. She is definitely beat up. Chip can attest to that. I've seen him. I know his primary looks pretty similar, but she definitely needs a coat of paint. It's been my primary for about 6 years now, and
that's HPA too, right?
Yes, so that's HPA with a Polish Star Jack. which serves it perfectly, especially with a 4,500 cc tank.
Mm-hmm.
That thing will go an entire weekend.
Now, do you
Uh,
have any other AEGs or HPAs that you use?
Absolutely. So my second primary, especially when we're going to some of the bigger mill sim ops, okay, is a 80K M249 with a Polar Star F1 installed in there. And again, with a 650 millimeter Type 4 barrel, it'll definitely reach out and touch someone.
Okay, that's awesome. Now,
Yes.
what kind of pistol do you have, Rob?
So I wish I had it on my side right now, but my ACP made by APS, okay, with a barrel extension upgrade and mock suppressor to cover that. That thing shoots like a laser beam. It's CO2 powered,
Mm.
which therein lies the problem though. The mags can be notoriously finicky, and everyone who heard me say APS probably rolled their eyes when I said it.
Yep.
Because there's understandably a lot of problems. However, if you do own an ACP, I will say quickly, e-bike has a replacement program going on for the mags. I just received 3 brand new mags about a month ago for free
Oh, that's
because
pretty
they
good.
know there's problems with the mags.
How do you, they have green gas mags though too for those as well, don't they?
They make unfortunately the model I have can only technically take CO2, but they do make a mag that can have CO2 or green gas. But again, just like these mags, I've heard of many problems with them. Again, that's just what I've heard. I have no personal experience with them.
Okay, so that's your only pistol. Do you have another pistol, or is that the only one?
I have multiple others like an Elite Force, the Hater Revolver,
Mm-hmm.
an Elite Force Glock 19 green gas as well. I have, but the ACP, it's so laser accurate that I really can't shy away from that. I really have to have it on me at all times.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got everything covered in there. I don't want to move on if you got more stuff to talk about. Or you got it all?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, most of the other guns, they're just really backups to the backups. You know how that goes. So there's really nothing to talk about on them. We can go on for that for like another hour or so.
You always got to have at least 3 or 4 when you go into an op too. So that's important.
Yeah.
Now, next one, like you already touched on it, but like what your camo type is, and if you have any other camos that you wear. Like some people have multiple camo types that they wear for different things. Like you have that, the Mandrake, for like your team color. But is there other camos that you wear?
Absolutely. As you and most players have played for even a few years, maybe less know, most ops either they could sell out quickly for the faction you want,
Yep.
or maybe a bunch of your friends are going on a different faction. So we actually, again, I personally have the Mandrake, obviously, but also Cryptek Typhon, which was the first camo I started off with at Plains.
Yeah.
That's again like the Cryptek, but in the black and gray urban style, kind of like the Patriots. They were the digital subdued that I love, and also multicam.
Yep.
So right there covers typically any of the factions you're ever going to see at a game. Right there. So I like to hold to kind of like hold like a wardrobe of camouflage, you know what I mean, for that reason, just so no matter what the game is and no matter what tickets are available, I can definitely get in.
Most of the places are a green or a tan faction with every once in a while a black faction, which you can get on too. So you got it covered all the way across with that. Would you consider what you got on now more a tan or a green?
So, that's actually a great question. And that is one of the drawbacks to there being so many, again, quote unquote, knockoff versions of the camouflages is this version is more of a green for Mandrake. But you can go on Amazon right now and find a Mandrake that is way more brown than this. And I would consider that one brown compared to this. And that's where one of the problems really does come in with these transitional camo patterns. On the other side of that, though, you don't want everyone to really look alike. That kind of ruins kind of the field. You want to be a little bit unique when you play. I know, at least I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. You want to be a little unique. So that is one of the potential drawbacks, though, is the differences in shades.
You ever get any grief, like when you're going in for a faction that, like, somebody will say, oh, that's tan. No, that's green. Because I know on multicam, there's that big argument whether it's tan or green all the time. Now, I look at that right away, and I think that's green. That would be a green camo for me if I was looking at it. But That's just me looking at it. So
Absolutely, and we haven't personally experienced too many problems with our team because we primarily wear again this pattern. That usually comes from AIRSOFT Megastore. They actually sell BDUs for a pretty great price.
mhm.
So getting the ball from there, they come in this nice screen. We haven't much of a problem, but multicam, like you mentioned, that's where the problems really come in. Some games, uh, have banned multicam completely because of that problem. I mean, that's not great because so many people own it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I do understand because anyone who's been to some of the bigger games or even a smaller game knows that even from 50, 60 feet away, sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yes. And you end up shooting like your own teammate and then everybody getting butthurt about it and stuff like that. Although I know people, like even some of the big games, they've been taping recently or wearing armbands. They've been given armbands. Like Milsim West is doing that now. They're doing armbands instead of just straight camo. You still have to have the camo, but they give you an armband as well. For UN forces or like coalition forces, they actually give you an armband. So at least you have a little bit more eye candy to look at when you're looking at it, like, oh, that armband is like coalition, so you won't shoot somebody, So, it's something to think about, like when they come to big games. So, all right. Here's the fourth question or fifth question I got here is, what do you think about playing this time of year in the snow, the cold? Not a big
Well,
fan.
the older I get, the less I want to do it. I'll
Yeah.
start off with that. I'm just going to be honest. But it is a unique experience. I mean, besides sometimes seeing what your limits are, it's also good to see what your gear and your equipment's limits are.
Yeah.
Again, just my personal experience, my HPA system, especially my M27, is really not a fan of the cold unless it's warmed up first. If
Mhm.
I go out in a game that's even I'd say 10 degrees or less, which we've done obviously, it could be kind of hit or miss. I really kind of need to keep it warm first for the engine to function properly. Now, again, that's my own experience, but I've seen the same thing happen with AEG batteries. People have full battery if it's too cold out. I've seen their battery just die within a game. Radios. There's plenty of equipment we use that's susceptible to this. Green gas. Is once the temperature drops, could be very useless.
And even if it's a certain temperature, CO2 for some instances won't work correctly either.
Absolutely. I've had it happen with my sidearm. Absolutely.
So it's more like situational. If it was 10 degrees, I wouldn't be out playing in the weather. But I always say that it's got to be at least half my age before I go outside to play in the snow. So it's got to be in the 30s for me to go out and play. That's a little rough. But that's just speaking from my experience that, like, I don't want to go out rolling around in the snow. I got enough, like, pain that I don't need more pain going out there,
Yep, same. I agree.
Here's a good one. This is subjective, and some of the people watching this might not know what we're talking about, but some people will. Your favorite field. Now, this can be past and present. It can be a field that's gone or a field that's, like, still open. So what would you consider your favorite field? It can be indoor, outdoor. It can be multiple fields. Go for it, Rob.
So, that question, that is probably the hardest question that you have for me. So, if you don't mind, so there's a couple things I have to consider in that, okay? And one is the first indoor field I played at, the first field I ever played at, Plains Airsoft Arena, okay? CNC, Cookies Chaos, which no longer exists. Both of those fields no longer exist. The first outdoor field I played at. Then you have EMR, where probably the largest field I've ever played at and the widest array of events and most open plays.
Yeah.
So, it really makes it hard when you're trying to pin down a specific one. But if I have to pick just one, I'm sorry, I actually forgot to R&M, only because of again, Enola Gay. Now we could debate the safety of Enola Gay, tagging grenades, everything like that. But R&M was one of the few fields left that allows those kind of things. And if you already sunk some money into those those pieces of equipment, there's really not
many
places left money's worth.
And Zulu 24 probably.
Zulu 24, the first and only field that I've been in a helicopter, firing from a helicopter. And so, yeah, there you go. It makes it really difficult to nail down just one. But if I have to, it has to be planes, just because again, my love of airsoft started there.
Yeah.
I met friends who they are my best friends now, 7 years later, that, are still that close to me. People like you, other teams, I mean, just the layout. I've been to other indoor fields. I'm not going to go on here and name them or bash any other indoor fields, but what I will say is I've never seen another one like Plains ever. Just that's hands down. The refs cared, you included. Again, the refs actually cared and they paid attention. They were responsive. Uh, the field was huge for indoor. You have 2-story buildings, and the games were actually a lot of fun because the refs actually worked pretty hard on maintaining that and adjusting them based on the gameplay. So I have to go with Plains Airsoft Arena. Rest in peace.
I'll tell you what, there was a lot of good experiences there, and people will still talk to me about that and ask me about it, and it's funny because the one guy said, "Hey, whatever happened to the place where they had the airsoft place?" I said, "Well, everything that was in there was left. They ripped it all down, and some kind of other warehouse is in there now." So I said it's a shame, but I'm like, someone asked me, it says, "Is there any other indoor fields in the area?" And I'm like, "No, not really. There's nothing really indoor unless you want to go like 2.5 hours away to go to like Stryker or, some of them other ones like that in South Jersey. But that's quite a haul to go down through there, or to go north and try to hit some of those too."
And your experience may vary.
Yeah. I've been to some that I never want to go back to, and I've been to some that were a lot of fun. So, it's a catch-22. It depends on the people. That's true with any field. It depends on the people, the refs, and how it's maintained, too. So, that's a good one. I like that one. That was a good one.
Planes will always live here.
Yep.
Planes will always live here.
This is like a segue into this next one. What's the max distance you will ever travel to a field for an event, open play? There's two distinctions there. How far will you travel for an event op, or how far will you travel for an open play?
So, to be honest with you, the question to both of those is going to be the same. Just because for a good experience, I'm willing to travel about the same distance. And I think we're going to be in alignment on this, or at least close. So I would use OTP as the example, as we both went there before. Okay, that was about 3 hours, right? Yeah. Okay. So, to be honest with you, other experiences in the highway, everything else aside, 3 hours was quite a haul. Okay. Yes. And for an open play, which I did both an open play down there and then went down for an event once more as well. That's really rough on you. Okay. You have to get up extremely early already to go to an event, okay, because they're starting early in the morning.
Right.
So 3 hours, just you're talking getting up 2 or 3 in the morning to either get ready or leave, one or the other. And furthermore, if you play the full day, you have 3 hours to drive back.
Right.
And it's not even a comfort. It's not just a problem of comfort. It's a problem of safety. I mean, maybe you have someone else to drive with you too, but they're just as tired. So that doesn't really help. And again, this is my personal opinion, but the 3 hour mark is about the cutoff. And for that, nowadays, it would have to definitely be worth it. Now, 2 hours and right around there, I really have no problem with it at all. I don't mind. That's totally fine. Airsoft, event or open play, either way.
Now, one of the things that a new field that opened up this war zone is from my location is 2.5 hours. Okay, they keep inviting me down there. It's I'm hearing all kind of good things about it, but it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and you either go around Philadelphia or you go through Philadelphia. So you know how that driving is. So I think if you go around Philadelphia, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. So that's getting to that 3 hour mark to go down for an open play. That's something I didn't put into the question, but that's another thing to talk about a little bit too. There are other like fields within an hour of us, that Paintball Asylum, and Skirmish, which is about an hour from us, is doing an event on March 19th. It's a 12-hour event, 12 to 12.
Yep.
And then you've got Zulu. But there are some fields that I've been hearing about out near Altoona. There's like 3 paintball fields that have now started doing airsoft. But then again, that is a 2-hour and 45-minute drive to the closest one. Okay. I would like to go see them, but I don't know if I could do a regular thing going to those. And the other thing that I want to ask you, and this is the question that I'm leading to, how much is too much for an open play? Now, we have got open plays for $20, and I've got an open play for $35. Okay, from different locations. But how much is too much, or for you going for an open play? And what would be the factors on it, deciding it's too much?
So, that question, especially now with the way things are with the price of goods going, I think that question is even more relevant now than it would have been, a year or even 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So the two, and I won't name fields here, but 2 of those open plays right there, one for 20, one for 35. They both have their merits. We'll take the one for 20. Now, that field is much larger. Now, I haven't been to the 35 one yet. I swear I'm going at some point. I keep trying to make plans to go. But, much larger, I'm pretty sure. The structure is set up in such a way, again, we've been to it a bunch of times. I believe I definitely get my money's worth for the $20. That said, it's 4 hours of gameplay.
Well, no, he has changed that. He's going. It's 6 hours now. I know who you're talking about, so it is 6 hours, not 4.
Okay, that's awesome. It makes it even more of a value.
Yeah.
Now again, I was fine with the 4 because, to be honest with you, the older I get, when I'm just going to an open play, that's about all the effort I'm trying to put in. So I didn't really mind anyway. But 6 is even better.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't argue with getting 6 hours of play. Now with downtime and everything else, more like 4, maybe 5. But again, for that price and free air refills, things like that, you really can't knock it. Now going to the 35. So a couple of factors there. One, so that field, airsoft is still growing at that location, and I think as long as I see, so far I've seen them really try to tap into an airsoft player base through social media, especially. I've seen them really accept airsoft and embrace it. The way a lot of other paintball fields have and still don't. They're kind of like the stepchild in a lot of locations. Again, that's my personal opinion only, but just what it looks like to me. So seeing a location actually really embrace airsoft and try to better itself and continue to improve. And again, they offer what is it, 7 or 8 hours of play, I think, something like that.
Well, yeah, they actually list on their website now 10 to 5. Okay, so that is 7 hours. But as a caveat, I'd been there at 10 o'clock and no one showed up till 1 o'clock. So you're sitting around for 3 hours. So you're not actually getting any airsoft in unless you want to shoot your buddy running around out there by yourself. That's the only bad thing. There's never people there at the start time. That when the 4 times that I've gone. Okay. So it was a little bit hard to swallow that $35 for me. So
if that was my experience, I would definitely absolutely feel the same way. And another team CEO that we both know actually had a similar experience with him and his guys when he went. So it's not the only time I've heard that. What I will say though is, again, I'm still trying to get my team, like, people to just start getting up there on a regular basis, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? But it may be rough now. But with all of our local teams, especially, if we start really making a presence there, we might be able to, have a very positive influence on the future of that field and really kind of steer the direction it goes. And that's something we really haven't had much say or buy into a location since Plains, went down. And that's, to me, again, the price and everything else, there is downsides to this, but I just try to look at the potential to have a semi-local field. One that's, it's pretty close by, under an hour for me.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour for you. Maybe
it's an hour 3 minutes, which is excellent for me, I think.
right up the highway too, straight highway drive, pretty
Yeah,
much.
and
You
there
know,
are locations for food that are close. The only negative that I would say is it's in the Poconos, and there's that Pocono mindset that you're going to the Poconos and you got money, so that's how
yeah,
they're charging accordingly. So
because
that's
of
the
all
way I
these.
feel that's happened there. Um, Now, for example, there are the field in New York that we like to go to. We ain't going to mention a name. I think are they 30 now?
Yeah, they raised it to 30. I believe last season or the season before.
But they're also a 10 till 6. So they're an 8 hour for $30. And people come during the day. And I'm like, somebody could wind up
Hmm.
coming at 1 o'clock and stay until 6 o'clock playing with a group. So,
Yeah.
people there that is an airsoft field. It's not a paintball and airsoft. That is just
Yep.
airsoft. That I think that makes a difference. Now,
Yeah.
our other field in New York, with the initials, you know what I'm talking about.
The
They're
mosquito pit.
20. Yeah, I think they're $20 still, right? They haven't changed their price.
Uh, no, I don't believe they have. And again, aside from the mosquito pit, you know what I mean. There's plenty of pros to the place. Like I said,
Yeah.
I definitely, it's definitely a unique location. That's what I do enjoy about it. And
Now,
it's only about now.
yeah. Now I am actually going to say the name on this one, and uh, OXL. That's Extreme Airsoft in Linglestown. Was supposed to be closing the end of January. They're now staying open till March 1st, but they have lost the lease on the land, so they're getting
Uh,
out of there. You have never gone there, have you?
no, never had the opportunity, and sadly, it really kills me to hear about more fields closing down. We don't have enough local
That's
fields
for
out here.
sure. I went 4 times, all 4 times with Rebel and a couple of guys from the Patriots. Uh, 2 times with the original owners and 2 times with the new owners, and both were different dynamics. Both were like good and bad. And I'm like, they have a huge area. It reminds me of EMR, huge long fields, stuff like that. And it's a shame because I think it had potential. They had one event there, which they had a really incredible turnout for, but it never, they lost the land. Like CNC, they lost the lease on the land. So it's like, it's
Yep.
kicking the ass. So, oh well, if I had $1 million, I'd buy a place and we'd be all set here. So
I always say the same thing.
I'm going to move on to the next question because I think we sort of beat this one to death. And you know what's funny? We're going to lead, this will segue into the next one. What turns you off when you're playing at a particular field? It's sort of like, somebody overshooting full auto, they're cheating, not calling their hits. What turns you off when you go to a field that you don't want to go back there to?
So, honestly, I'm not going to put this on any one person or one thing, right? I just want to preface it with that. But most of the things that I would say most people, including myself, don't like, things you just mentioned, the overshooting, cheating, turning up, HBA, thing like that. Uh, to be honest, I think it goes back to obviously a player that doesn't have honor or isn't going to be honorable.
Mm,
They already made that decision. They're going to do that regardless, right?
right.
So I can blame them all day, but that's already moot. I would go back to planes again for a sec because the refs, yourself included, again, actually cared, paid attention, and made sure that the game stayed clean. Now that's much easier said than done in an arena than it is, on an outdoor field. Obviously, okay, we all know that. But I think we've all seen plenty of fields where the refs are kids and probably not paid well, and they don't
Yeah.
care whatsoever about what's going on. They're literally there just to stand around and pace back and forth. Um, and when that happens, it really does ruin the game for all of us because besides our own honor, the refs are the only thing standing between the game being good or bad, in my opinion,
Yep.
to make sure things run the right way. So while I don't, again, I'm not just going to put it on them. I don't mean it that way. People are responsible for their own actions. But if people were always going to be honorable, we wouldn't need refs, would we?
Yeah.
So when you go to a field, and again, even the field owners, when they don't care and their employees don't care,
Yeah.
it ruins the game for all of us, in my opinion. I think that's probably the number one thing I would dislike in their South field.
It's kind of tough at using an example, a paintball field that starts doing airsoft. if the refs are so geared toward paintball, they have the mindset for paintball, and they don't realize that, yeah, paintball, we're shooting 75 feet apart. Airsoft, I can shoot with my pistol 75 feet and hit you. Okay.
Yeah.
Which was one of the problems that we run into, at this one expensive airsoft field. We've got the guys, and he said, okay, we're going to start right here. I said, I shoot farther than this. He said, what do you mean? I said, look, I shot my pistol and I was shooting past where they're standing. I said, we can't start 50 feet apart. For paintball, that's great. For airsoft, not so much.
No.
And if you want to play CQB, you got to have a whole different setup than what they have for doing that. So I think, like you said, if the refs, and it all comes down from the top. If the guy in charge owns the field, is on top of the refs, the refs will be on top of the players. Okay? And it doesn't, you don't have to be a hard ass to be good. You come up, you watch a person, you think he's like not shooting. I used to have a spring pistol. I shoot people in the back just to make sure they call their hit. They turn around, they're like, hit. No, you're okay. And I'd have them and keep them going. I said, that kind of stuff I don't see anymore. I see the refs on their phones at the one field I was at, and I'm like, guys, you're not even fucking watching this guy overshooting everybody to hell. I said, come on. I'm like, then they get all, maybe it's just me because I'm a little bit older, but when I start hollering at somebody, a ref, that's something's going wrong, if I get mad, that means there's a problem there. So, but you're right, though. I think the refs have a big thing. If your refs are on top there, and if you're paying a ref $5 an hour, you're going to get $5 worth an hour of refs.
Agreed.
Okay. And it's kind of hard, and I actually saw this at a local field recently. Brand new ref who was his first time out. He's afraid to say something. And I said, he said, I don't want to go bitching at that guy. I said, no. See, you have the wrong mindset. You're not bitching at him. You go up to him and say, hey, excuse me, I don't think you're calling them hits. Come on, make sure you feel the hits. I said, you don't have to be nasty. You don't say, you're not calling hits. I said, don't be a prick. Be nice to the guy. And I said, that actually makes a difference. And I think instructing the referees has to come down from the owner or other referees. And if you get that mindset, I think it'll work out good. So, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. Here's a good one, Rob, and go nuts with this one. Funniest story you have while you're playing airsoft. Airsoft funny story. Come on, I want to hear one.
So, again, in 7 years now, you have me, I think doubled when I say 7 years, I think, right? Yeah, so, in 7 years, I'm sure I've forgotten more of the funny stories than I can remember at this point. Thank God for video, because I go back sometimes and just remember things. But for me, one of the funniest is a clip I actually share on a regular basis. At EMR, we were at Nope Play. We're down by Rat's Nest there, and there's that like ditch, the pipe that runs through it, and then the bridge is right on the other side of it. And so I'm there shooting with the M27, and I went backwards just slightly, stepped backwards, and I lost my footing, and I fell down. And anyone who knows the spot I'm talking about, you're on a little hill. So when I fell, it's not like I fell straight down to the ground. I fell like down a hill, and it didn't hurt. It was just the surprise of it all. Like you see it in slow motion, like you're falling, and all of a sudden you're on the ground, and you have no idea how you got there. It just just hurts the pride. But it doesn't sound like much, but just things like that when you're thinking like you're you're like super cool. You're right up on the hill and everyone's charged up around you and everything's awesome, and then all of a sudden, bam, and you fall right on your ass. And it's just the moments like that I really enjoy.
Like I know you guys do a lot of video, and I've been seeing a lot of the clips and stuff like that, and that is the best way to like remember stuff like that. Like I'm gonna put a link to like your Facebook page, and we'll set up the links or whatever you want to put on there, and I'll put them in the description so people can see them, and this way they can like check out some of the stuff that's going on too. Okay.
I appreciate that.
We're going to move on to the last question, which is sort of like a subjective opinion. How long do you think you'll still be playing airsoft in the future?
You know, that question, it's something I think about from time to time, and I use you as actually my primary example. You are my role model when it comes to that. I plan on being you. Honestly, any that's really the greatest thing a player at this point can aspire to is to be the guy that not only is still playing, okay, like like 30 years past me, but also the fact that you enjoy it and you help everyone around you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this just I can't stress enough. I know I said before, but I can't stress enough that airsoft in this local area would not be a shadow of what it is without you and what you've done for the community. And if I could be that guy, I'll do it till I die. And I mean that. Like we'll get a motorized wheelchair. I've seen people do that. Making a little battle tank, whatever. Okay, I'll man the comms at the big game. Whatever it is I have to do to just be involved with this and just the feeling is like no other when you're with your team and everybody else and just everything's going on around you and just there's just no words for it in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I'll do it as long as I can.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it is fun, and although like all those years of paintball and diving with my knees and stuff like that, it has taken its toll over the last couple of years, and I might be a little slower, but I still have a lot of fun. And you know what? You're right. I don't care who I'm with. I have fun when I go out there, and I think that's the thing that everybody should take away from airsoft. That it's a game, it's fun, and if you go in there thinking you're gonna have fun, you're gonna have fun. If you go in there getting pissed off about, oh, this guy's not calling his, oh, this guy's not calling that, don't worry about that. Have fun. Play how you like to play. You call your hits. You have fun. Don't worry about anybody else. That's the way I like to tell people when they're getting all upset about not calling hits. And I said, that's how my philosophy has been for years, and that's what I'm going to keep doing because, you know, like I can't move that fast, so you're probably going to be able to shoot me at least, when we're out there.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll tell you what, Rob. I really appreciate having you on there, buddy. We're gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put links and whatever in the description. Um, and anything else you want to add, just let me know, and we'll add it in the description so people can find you and look it up. And I am going to put the web page there for the WolfPack that I got for you guys, so they can find that and email you if there's any questions that they have. Okay.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on today. And we're going to be doing this with a whole bunch of other people. So thanks for being here, Rob. And we'll call it a day. We'll see you later, bud.